and welcome to another edition of The One Team We Agree On. I'm Jillian,
I'm Kyle.
and we have some special guests today.
All right. Would you want to introduce them?
Yeah, so as many of you know, we stand in section 136 in the River End,
Row
the
N.
best section. Yes, row N, we're near the top. And our next door neighbors, if you will, people that stand next to us and
Yep.
have for a little while now, we have Eric and Jane. And they are joining us today to chat about the latest events and their fandom.
This is a fun conversation. Couples getting together, talking about their love for the union. This is what we want. So let's go ahead and get started.
Yeah. So we always like to start off with what we're wearing. And so I guess I'll start. And I didn't even tell you I got this, but I know, right? So Kyle was in the press box yesterday. And so I went to the team store myself and I treated myself. So I'm wearing it's one of their newer items from the ladies section. It is a black V-neck union t-shirt, and it wasn't very expensive either. It was not like an $80 t-shirt. Okay. It was like 31 with my season ticket member discount. So yay for that. And so yeah, that's what I got.
I'm wearing a duper die. This is one of my favorite things. I think you got me, and Jeff Mitchell had recommended this, and it's just got the duper die from back when we first started going. It was join or die on the stadium of Subaru Park back then. I think was it PPL or Talon Energy Stadium.
Yeah, it was PPL and then it was Talon.
Yeah. So I mean, I remember those memories fondly. So
Yeah.
I think. So what are you guys wearing?
This shirt Eric got me. This is our favorite of the jerseys they've had in the past couple of years. It's the lightning bolt one. I love it so much.
Love it.
I think it's the all-time favorite jersey for
Everyone.
most Union fans.
Yeah.
At least it's brought a lot of the best memories too. I just got old school Union logo. This is probably from about 2014 or 15. Still going strong.
There you go.
Nice. Yeah, I'll tell you what, the lightning bolt, that one's just a classic, and it was great. Like one of my students actually wore it in his school picture last year, and I was like, yes, so but
to Eric's point, I love the old logo.
The old logo's good.
The old logo on your car. Even though Billy always cracks and like, hey, you need to update your logo.
What are you talking about? Billy's never even seen my car because we always take your car.
He saw your license plate.
Okay, I did have like a tweet. I did have a tweet like last year when I got it go like very popular, but it was fine because I took off like my Flyers license plate from the front because I'm like, well, time to put on a winner, and I took that off and I put on the Union one, just the sparkle, one with the
Great
logo
choice.
on it. Yeah. So but yeah, I mean that logo is good though. I do like it.
So before we get started, make sure to follow us on Twitter
Yep, Twitter at TOTWAG, Instagram at The One Team We Agree On.
And you can follow us on Facebook. We're on Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, and then also on YouTube.
Yep. So find us wherever you find your podcasts, and like and subscribe and comment. We love to hear from you.
All right. So tell us your story. How did you become a Union fan?
I think it started, for me at least, I grew up in a soccer family. I played soccer as a kid. I was not particularly good, but I just kept at it. My sister was a lot better, actually. She was, starter on her high school team. And we had gotten tickets to, I think her whole team got invited to the opening game of the 1999 Women's World Cup at Giant Stadium. They got to go down on the field. So I think that was my first.
Yeah, I didn't know that story.
Yeah, she. As much as awesome as it was being at a soccer game, her big takeaway was that she got to high five NSYNC, the pregame entertainment. Yeah, so that was, I think, my first professional game that I was at, and it was a World Cup game. So we really got into going into live soccer games. We went to some Philadelphia Kicks games back in the day, the indoor team, and we went to the first ever event at the Link which was a friendly between Manchester United and Barcelona. And then when the Union came out, actually it was funny. I was in fantasy MLS one year. I think it was like 2007 or 2008, and my handle was Philly needs a team. That was my username, and very, very shortly thereafter we got the team, and we got season tickets that year, and I've been going ever since. Started up in the corner in section 101, up near the top. When I met Jane and started bringing her to games, then we a couple years later moved over to section 140 to be in the river end. The corner of section 140 was not what it is now.
It was very mellow.
It was a lot more mellow.
It was not for cheering.
Yeah, so after being there for I think 2 seasons, then we moved over to 136, and we've been there ever since.
Awesome. Yeah, it's definitely good spot to be. We didn't initially start through, although when we started doing our season tickets, we started going in 136 because we had gone to a game there and we loved it.
I mean, we had started, what was it, 141, and then we went over to the opposite end of the river end.
We were at 131, you mean? Our first game we were in 131, I think, or 130.
Okay.
But then the 2019 playoff game against the Red Bulls, we were over on the other side, closer to the Ultras.
Well, we were in Todd's old row.
Yeah.
And then we moved
which will
back
mean nothing to anybody else, but yes.
Yes. So we're on the opposite side where the players come out.
Yeah.
And then we tried to get that, and then they were like, "Oh, there's 136 row N available," and we're like, "Okay, let's do this." And
there we are.
I mean, it's been the greatest decision of our lives.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we'd like to know, what does the Union mean to the both of you?
It's definitely a very Philly experience to obsess over a team the way we do about the Union. And I'm a transplant to Philly. I moved here 14 years ago, but so it feels very Philly to just absolutely live and die with a team, and this is new for me. How about you?
I mean, I think what the Union means to me, it's really about the community, the way that the team has just fostered that sense of sort of belonging, and really, the people that sit around us. I mean, we have an incredible supporters group. And I think it's something that you wouldn't get with other cities. I feel like, New York, Los Angeles, Miami, bringing in big name players and, really emphasizing, I think, just that superstar splashiness. And that's not Philadelphia. That's not really how the Union operate. But I think that makes it a lot more of a connected fan base, because we're there for the team. We've always been there for the team. And they've been rewarding us with, at least a well-defined style of play, and just amazing consistency that you don't see in a lot of soccer leagues, especially, or even throughout MLS.
That is very true.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask, how'd you guys meet? If you don't mind sharing, we can edit this out, but
it's really cute. We were set up, and we didn't think that actually worked, but apparently setups work. It was one of Eric's friends from high school, and she was dating my best friend from work, and they decided that apparently I was perfect for Eric, so they set us up, and it really worked out for us. Yeah.
And I mean, at first, I think one of the things that got you coming back pretty quickly was when I said, "Hey, I have a Union ticket." I think it was the day after we met, and I said, "Hey, I have an extra ticket for tomorrow. Do you want to come?" And she was like, "Yes, of course." So
I was oblivious to the fact that I was being set up at this point. So and I didn't really have an interest in him because he lived really far away, and I don't know, it just didn't seem right at the time. Mm-hmm. But I did really want to go to the Union game, so I think I was hinting really heavily, "Take me to the Union game." So yeah, thank goodness, because you took me and we ended up hanging out a lot after that. So the Union are actually very integral to our existence as a couple. So true.
I love that. That is awesome.
That's why we created this podcast. Like,
yeah,
you guys are perfect. Like already, like I'm just sitting here going, yep, like this is our story. Like you guys through hard times, and like they brought you together. Like this is perfect.
Well, yeah, it's like literally why we have our show, the name, the one team we agree on,
Yeah.
Union is what, where we can see eye to eye, because unfortunately this guy is not a Philly fan and the other sports. So at least I can commiserate with him on Union, or, thankfully we've experienced way more highs than lows since, we've been following them together. But I know I'm like, Kyle, come on, don't you want to come experience what it's like to be an Eagles fan too? I mean, you want to talk about
this is every drive. Like
every
when we go like Philly, like yesterday we were there getting my passport. She's like, God, think about going, like we go hang out, walk around the city, and then go to the Eagles. We go to the 76ers, we go to Phillies. I'm like, it's all nice, but I've been those fans since I'm a little kid. So I get it, but like yesterday was a wonderful day all around.
Yeah, we were walking all over Philly because we had to kill time, as I told you guys. But yeah, he had to get his passport updated, so did the agency there, and we didn't feel like driving all the way home. So
I do got a question for both of you. What do you love about 136? Because this section of our area is like OG, and just like, oh, now Jade's like laughing because as you and I, we all know 136, we got Jeff, we got Billy, we got a lot of people, we got Drew.
Yeah.
It's a wild time, but I feel like we brought Conrad yesterday, and he was like, this is like the greatest experience. Like, why are more people not sitting in the river end?
Yeah, so for those listening, we Kyle was up in the press box, so I was down just in 136. But so we brought our friend Conrad to take Kyle's place there, and but he got to see it for himself. But yeah, why don't you guys tell anyone listening, why 136 is so awesome?
I mean this in the absolute nicest way, but there's a certain level of just degeneracy there.
This is true.
This is true.
It's probably as close as you're gonna get at Subaru Park to the 700 level of the vet from back in the day. So it just feels like the right place, and it feels like the right place to be. And you're right behind the goal, so the seats are incredible. But again, it's just that sense of community. There's just
the first time we had two other sections before we ended up at 136, and the first game that we were in 136, I didn't stop laughing the entire time. And I feel like it was a little bit more like there was a little more kind of commentary because the team was pretty bad back then. I mean, like not bad, just inconsistent.
Right.
We'll call it inconsistent. And the mockery was too funny.
I mean, I think if everyone, for those who probably aren't close enough to hear us, if you take the standard cheers that you hear the Sons of Ben doing every game, there will be different words,
yes,
to the same notes, that generally come from our area. Again, to the point where Jane was unable to stand up the first time. She got a little bit more used to it since then.
I mean, there's at least one or two chants that you just drop to your knees and just die because you're like, how'd you come up with that?
Yeah.
Like, especially behind us, like I gotta give credit to that whole group.
And there's only one row behind us.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta tell you, so many times during a game, I'll be just like dying over something that somebody yells or chants or whatever. And then, I do love the versions of chants that come out of our section for sure.
Absolutely.
So fun.
I mean, there are chants that we cannot repeat ever.
Could you hear anything from up in the press box?
I could. And I'll be honest with you, last night it was loud. Like a whole bunch of us were like, the river end was loud last night. And it was, we'll get to that, but it was very it was louder than what I've heard in the press box probably my previous times. Put it that way.
There was definitely YSA going on, of course.
Oh yeah.
But
oh.
And you could hear it. You could hear it on the broadcast. I rewatched some of it today, and definitely the F. John Tolkien was loud and clear from what I heard. Did you hear that pretty good there too, Kyle? Yeah, but it's pretty funny. But
so, what have you guys done any away days yet? Away games.
We went to Columbus.
Yep, we were at the scintillating 0-0 draw at Columbus last year, on July 4th weekend, which was the final game, I think, that predated the scoring outburst that completely. The game after that was the 7-0 win over DC, and then they just went crazy scoring goals. But yeah, we did the away game at Columbus last year. I think, was that your only away game?
Yeah, that's my only.
I had one more at RFK Stadium back in 2011. At DC United. The way that everything was set up there is the DC fans had the lower level, the Union fans had the upper deck. So there was a couple of hundred of us in a very, very large upper deck at RFK. And I mean, we were actually making it shake.
Nice.
They even commented on the press box that they could feel it shaking from just a couple hundred fans.
Nice.
That stadium should never have lasted as long as it did. Yeah, that was my only other Union away game.
Yeah, do you plan on going to any coming up?
We always try to, but like we never seem to make it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
hopefully.
Probably not this season, but we'd like to in the future.
So yeah, that DC game coming up, I hear like a lot of people are going down to that one. I'll be down there. He won't, but I will. But I know Polemy and I are going there. Polemy. She's gonna be capoing that. So but yeah, so let's think about some of your favorite Union moments. You can pick maybe like 5 or so favorite doesn't have to be an exact number, but what are some of your favorite Union moments that you've experienced?
It's funny, we were talking about this on the way home yesterday, and so some of these are favorite and some of these are just the most memorable. Every game that was like the most memorable kept coming back to, oh, we were playing New England, which is so weird because like, if those games against the Red Bulls and New York City and in DC, I think that's where the most energy and the most excitement is. But there's something about just every one of those New England games where something either bizarre happened, like there was the season opener one year where it was 34 degrees and raining, and we showed up in ski pants because we were bitterly cold.
It was really cold.
There was the US Open Cup game where the dust blew in from the parking lot.
That was insane.
That predated that like came right before the rainstorm that hit. That was also against New England. There was the game that got rescheduled from Hurricane Sandy that ended up being the Union went down 4-1 at halftime and then came back to a 4-4 draw. One of the greatest comebacks that I could ever have imagined that team doing, also against New England.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's just something that always seems to happen when they're around.
So talk about the Dust Bowl, because Matt Ralph was the only one that ever told me this story, and like Billy gave some like background to it. So what was that whole game like?
So it was an Open Cup game. So you're talking, I wouldn't say we draw particularly well for most Open Cup games. So there was, I don't know, 6,000 or 7,000 people there on a Wednesday night. And weird things always would happen at Open Cup games, like really, really weird things. I would always joke that, the weather would be perfect for every game during the season. And then the Open Cup hits and all of a sudden it started getting bizarre. So with that game, you could just see there was just a line of thunderstorms approaching. I don't even know what happened in the game. I'm pretty sure we won because I think that was one of the years that we went to the final.
Yeah.
But you could just see this, like the dark clouds just getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And like just before they got to the stadium, all of a sudden, like I just started blinking my eyes really quickly and just like, what is happening? Like the wind picked up and like we were just getting dust in our eyes.
It was searing, like it would cut your skin, dust.
Yeah. Because the parking lots weren't paved at the time. and the wind was just blowing all the dirt right into the stadium. I mean, they stopped the game before the rain even started.
We were in the concourse, and like I think that like wind tunnel effect of the concourse just like funneled it right into our faces. It was
so
terrifying.
it was something that like I've never experienced before. And like during a US Open Cup game, obviously.
Can you tell we're from the Northeast?
Yeah, not used to the dust storms. But yeah, once the storm passed and everything settled down, then a couple hour delay and we picked back up again and probably won the game. I think we won that game.
Yeah, but like it's hard to like remember past the insane dust storm.
Yeah, that's insane.
That is insane. Because I've heard like the whole sky just opened up with dust and like the press box, like the views from the press box. It's just, that's like one of the most weirdest moments in Union history, maybe potentially.
Like
I don't know.
Certainly weather-wise.
Okay.
My personal favorite Union moment ever is that playoff game where Glesnes shot the goal when we all shouted shoot, and the 123rd minute or maybe 124th minute. Yeah. Never forget that moment. Like that, like the intense screaming and nervousness and like that was
you see Kyle like chuckling over here because he's remembering that I couldn't be at that one, but he was with our friend Todd and different Todd.
I didn't mean to rub that in.
Yeah, I was like on the pool deck coaching, but we were on a break from the meet, and so I'm watching it on my phone, and I just start cheering on the pool deck. Like coaches are just like eating lunch or whatever, and I'm like, oh my god, yeah, and like but Kyle was there.
I just remember Todd going to me going, hey, what happens after this? I'm like, well, we're going to penalty kicks. And he's like, oh no. I'm like, yep, we're going to penalty kicks. And that happened. And then I just remember we drove home and I dropped him off. And then we went to my buddy's place at in Millersville here. And now he's got a place opening in Lancaster, which I hope to get like a Sons of Ben watch party or some sort of Union watch party.
We're trying to bring Union to Lancaster a bit. Yeah.
And he was going to do that, but then he had to close down his shop and relocate. But he's a really big Premier League fan. And I showed him that goal and he just started breaking down. He's like, oh my gosh, all these fans going nuts. And he's like, where are you? I'm like, I'm in this mob pit right now. Like everybody's just going bonkers. Like to this day, I will say this, outside of the Glesnes goal against NYCFC last year, maybe the Elliott goal, but that was the most ruckus I've heard that place. Like that place just erupted when we're like shooting and just got quiet, and then all of a sudden that ball knuckled in and we're just all like, oh my gosh, that actually went in.
Oh, when we went ahead at the MLS Cup when we were there in LA before it
where
before
were you?
That guy came in, I'm not even gonna speak his name.
Where were you guys that day? That's my question.
We watched that at the stadium. Like they had it on the
we were on the field.
Yeah.
Watching on the Jumbotron. Yeah.
And your reaction when Jack went?
There was so much disbelief in all of it at the end there. Like it
was a roller coaster of emotions, that game, that's for sure.
The whole thing I could keep thinking the whole time was everybody in our area. We were right for that one moment. We were all right that, hey, we knew what we had that year. And I was texting so many people. We were all right. We knew what we had, even though MLS was like, oh, LAFC is going to dominate this game. And we're like, we were right.
Yeah. The euphoria that we were experiencing, when we went ahead and I'm like, oh my gosh, we could actually do this. And then and I had like running on my phone, the stopwatch, like how much time we have left. And I'm looking, I'm like, crap, there's still too much time left. And you know what LAFC does. And then, and our next thing we were talking about is, of course, the most heartbreaking moment. And I think it goes without saying, for me, it's freaking Gareth Bale. But yeah.
For me, it was the penalty kicks, and specifically because think because it was John McCarthy in goal.
Yeah.
I mean, you think back to the 2015 US Open Cup final against Kansas City when Jim Curtin subbed out Andre Blake for John McCarthy because he can stop penalty kicks.
Right.
And didn't on that day as Kansas City beat us in PKs. But then, of course, like the time that he steps up, and of course, when he makes those PK saves is against the Union. Like it felt worse to me because like he couldn't do it for the Union, but of course it would be against us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I know that's so Union, right? Am I right? But
Wrestling was rooted in truth.
but yeah, that one hurt. But you know, hopefully we'll keep making way more exciting moments, right? This season, who knows what's gonna happen?
Well,
yeah.
Who knows what's gonna happen is the question.
Yeah.
So you guys got any special memorabilia or apparel?
We have a like giant pile of scarves, like a huge pile of scarves. We basically decorate our house with scarves. Other than that, we just are big on having like nice things to wear to the game, but we're not big collectors in general.
Yeah, a couple of jerseys, a sport jacket, and not sport jacket, like a track jacket, a couple fleeces. Nothing too much.
What's your favorite pieces? Like, what's your game day go to?
The shirt. So for years, actually, Eric had lent me a jersey that like fit me perfectly, and he just gave it to me, and that was my forever like Union clothes, and I loved it, and I still love it. But then when this came out, we upgraded. Yeah,
that was the 2010 original, no sponsor jersey.
Yeah, it didn't have Bimbo on it, which I didn't really Bimbo shirt.
That's the one I have.
Nice. Yeah, hopefully
I have three other jerseys that I just rotate between for games, so it's just one of the three plus a random scarf.
Yeah. Nice. Isn't Jane hopefully recovered from getting beer dumped all over you last night?
So what happened there?
I'm still not sure. I just felt like it was. I feel bad for coaches who get like the bucket dumped over them.
Right.
Shock when you like cold water in your back. But yeah, I got hit by a beer.
Yep. Yeah.
Apparently you got hit by a beer too, and you were like completely fine and like didn't complain or like make a fuss, whereas I did. So
yeah. No, it was like all of a sudden, but that was kind of funny. But yeah, it was not me spilling a beer for once. Kyle was mad the one time when I kicked over his beer.
What game was that?
I don't know, but
I think it was the Pachuca friendly.
I think it was the Pachuca.
We went to take her picture, and she just moved her foot, and
that's because you put it, where I could step on. But anyway, yeah. So and we just did an episode on fashion, on Union fashion. Looked at also the players from our team and the coaches from other teams and everything. So let's just for a moment talk about that. Think about the players first of all. Who would be your pick for best dressed player? Have you guys seen like the arrival pictures and stuff?
I've seen a couple like on Instagram and stuff, and I feel like they all do a really good job, and they don't look anything like themselves on the field, which just fascinates me. I mean, forever Carranza is ridiculously handsome, so beautiful. All fashion concepts he wins. Cover yours.
Oh yeah, Kyle knows. I always say like Jillian always looks really good, and I've told like also I think Andre Blake. Andre could wear anything though. Like I always say, like he's got a great smile and everything, so he just looks good no matter what he wears.
So what's fascinating to me is like their game day raid when they show up. That's what they wear to like the media mixer. And so like they're coming out like they've just taken a shower, and it's just really fascinating because you're like they're really tired. They just played 90 plus minutes, and they're just like all like, hey, look, I'm still looking dressed up. And I'm like Nate Harrell last night was like GQ, and I'm like, credit to you for like showing up. Like we see like baseball players and football players in like their gear still.
Lane
like
Johnson shows up in overalls
like
or whatever, which is great.
well, not only
no,
that,
no,
like
their
in their
rivals
like
got me cracking up though. Usually,
well, like in their post game interviews, they're
yeah,
still in their uniforms.
right.
Like these guys are showing up like all sharp dressed, looking great, and I think that's a good thing. Like I really do like that, because you're like last night I'm like looking like Andre. I'm like, that's a really nice shirt. I'm like, where can I get that shirt?
But yeah, I was just looking at some of their arrival stuff, and I know like Jose Martinez, his outfit was yeah, he always does well. Raffanello, Choo looked good. Yeah,
Choo had a really nice top on last night.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about that. So let's move on to Leagues Cup. That's why we're here. I mean,
Yep.
Union are going to move on now. Face Querétaro again, second time. I have been a very staunch person that the Union are in fourth place, and Greg Oldfield had posted an article on Philly Soccer Now about that, about the Leagues Cup is what it is, and I've always been a staunch supporter. But where are you guys on the Leagues Cup? Like, are you enjoying this competition? Because like for me, I'm still like, you didn't play 34 games, they're gonna play 35 now. Like they're basically now at Cincinnati Eastern Conference semifinals. Like where are we going with this? Like is the league ready for this? Because I feel like they just keep wanting to add tournaments, and it's just like, then we either got A, spend more money, or B, like increase the roster size. So where are you guys on this?
So it's telling the fans showed up last night. You know, it was a crowded stadium for a weekday game, and that's a good sign that we have at least the crowd support for it.
A postponed week game.
A postponed, yeah, good call. Yeah, that's
exactly.
A good sign. But the players, I mean, like it worries me that Gazdag like had such a bad like knee problem, you know, like that. I think you're hitting the nail on the head that we need a bigger roster probably. What do you think?
Well, and I think it comes down to squad rotation. Some coaches do better than that than others, and I think that's something that Jim's been improving over the years. I mean, there was last year, 2 years ago, it would be the same starting 11 every year, which I mean they were very, very good, but I mean really you can't wear your players out that much, and you know there's been a lot of experimenting with formations and a lot of just sort of I think at least ease the stress off the players. To some extent. The problem, with making a deep Leagues Cup run, I mean, you know, you look at some of the other teams around us in the Eastern Conference. I'm not even going to say Cincinnati because they're so far ahead of everybody, but you know, New England just lost, Nashville's still in it, Atlanta lost forever ago. So like you know, they're going to start getting a lot more rest than we are, and you know, I hope they don't come back from this break a little sharper. I mean, we saw what it did to LAFC. They got to bypass the Greeks. You know, they just won 7-1 and 4-0 in their 2 games. So, it does worry me a little bit, but at the same time, like the way that the bracket is set up right now, you know, we have Querétaro, and then if you win that, you're 3/4 of the way to a Champions Cup spot for next season.
And it's a good
top
good
3
path that way.
It's a great path, and I think we're set up pretty well to get there.
And that's what we talked about on the show. When I did that, we did the whole preview. Like, if we get through New England, which turns out to be Querétaro, and like, I mean, if we get to the Messi show, like, let's be honest, like, it is what it is. I mean, I'm still excited to see Jose Martinez against Messi. That's going to be the greatest matchup ever.
And of course, we're going to be on vacation when, you know,
right. We'll be watching.
If we do end up with like a game against Messi, but
which we're trying to get. Well, I'll tell you off air. We're trying to basically set up something in there and tour the stadium, and that it's going to be kind of cool. But
that'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. Yeah. But one of the things, like, I love Inter Miami. Like, I love what they're doing with the team, but at the same time, like, can we just stop? And I'm gonna get your guys' take on this, because like last night we were in the press box and I got a notification like, sign up to be a Messi insider. from MLS.
So
like, that's great. All like
Yeah.
we got Messi. Like,
but it's Messi overkill right now.
well, to
Just
be
my
fair, like I grew up in the 80s when Pele was playing for the New York Cosmos. That was a great time in American soccer history, and I get that. But like, can we wait till Messi goes against LAFC? Can we wait till he goes against Cincinnati, the Union, Nashville? Like, I want to get your guys' thoughts on this, and this is not a messy discussion. It's just like I want to get your guys' discussion because we haven't had this yet.
Hard not to have a discussion about Messi right now.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on him?
I mean, I think that he's amazing, and I'm really excited to see him play live. Like,
Me too.
Very excited. But I mean, it was ridiculous when however was responding. I mean, we've seen pink Messi shirts in the River End. It's wrong.
Yeah, there was one last night.
Yeah.
I mean, I liken it back to when Beckham came to MLS. I want to see that type of crowd and that type of support where you can cheer for Messi, especially if the game's in Philadelphia. You can cheer for Messi and be happy that that he does well. I mean, any game he will do well, just like Beckham did. You can cheer when he scores a goal and simultaneously cheer when the Union do well. Like I don't know if you guys watched the Miami game against Dallas. That was their first game on the road with Messi, but I mean, the stadium went wild when he scored, and the stadium went wild when Dallas scored. Which I think is a good atmosphere. I would hate for
I like that.
Yeah, I would hate for it to be overrun. Like the game against Club America, in 2021 Champions League, when it was like 3/4 Club America fans in our stadium, and I mean they were living and dying by everything that Club America did in that game.
I'll never forget that. Good memory.
Yeah, without putting any support behind the Union for those fans. And I get they're actual diehard Club America fans and not like individual player fans. But I would love it if if when Messi comes here, he can get accolades, but the Union get just as much, if not more, support.
No, and that's fair. Speaking of Club America, what did you guys think about? Do you guys see the fiasco last night in Nashville?
Yeah. I mean, keeper was off his line. I love that VAR is really intervening and getting that call correct.
Yeah.
What I love is
quicker, but
what I love is the fiasco. Like that whole fiasco, and then Club America fans just going off on MLS, and I'm just sitting there going,
well, in the end, the right call was made.
The right call was made, and then they're pelting all the Nashville players, and I'm like,
ridiculous.
Was that even an MLS referee? Because I think a lot of these referees in Leagues Cup have not been from MLS. Like they're not names that I recognize. So
a lot of them are fourth line or like fourth officials that they're trying, which I get. Like you're trying to build the next crop of like officials, but like we saw last night, like the guy he made the game about himself and not about what the game was on the pitch, and it just like I get why they're doing it, and that's fine with me, but it's just a choppy ride, and I'm sure you agree.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Last night was difficult, to say the least.
Yeah, sure. And like honestly, going into this, I thought Leagues Cup, it's like we weren't like that excited for it, and looked at it more as like a money grab kind of. And it's like, oh, it's just more games and more wear and tear on our players. But I'm not gonna lie, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, Jim's going for it with this, I mean, they're going for it. They have not had like big squad rotation. I mean, not a fan of last night's starting lineup, just did not work. I mean, it was a bold strategy, if you will, but it did not work.
Personally, I liked it. Now, when it played out, it didn't work out.
Yeah, in theory, it was. Okay,
so my question is, so I got into a conversation like yesterday when we were in Center City, Philly, about this rivalry with Red Bulls. Because me personally, I think it's still very. I mean, Jim said last night in the press conference when he got emotional, like 11 straight decisions or draws you know,
The question is it a rivalry?
Is it still a rivalry? Because you guys have been around for a lot longer. I mean, I follow casually.
Mhm.
I mean, do you still consider it a rivalry, or is this like a DC thing now? Because I mean, last night it got loud. I was like, even like, okay.
Is your point that like a rivalry dies when one team's not playing well, or like I don't know.
Like if we've had their number so much, like
I mean,
yeah.
Jane, can I ask you, is Dolphins and Bills still rivalry? I mean, you guys have
No,
owned us.
like definitely, like the Bills fans will
well,
shout "squish the fish," like, and they never will stop that. Like that's important.
and we'll say the same thing. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so it's a good argument because Dolphins and Bills are a rivalry, and so I think yes, just because one team has had advantage, you know. Good.
I think I would still say yes. The way that I think I look at a close rivalry in MLS is, and it might be a little weird. I think it's really by away support. If the Red Bulls can bring a whole section's worth of people, or half a section, whatever the case may be, if they can bring as many fans as they brought last night, and I'm curious to see what it'll look like, Labor Day weekend when they come back for a game that's been scheduled now for months.
Time, yeah.
If they're bringing that much support here, we bring that much support there. I think it is a rivalry game. If the opposing fans show up in those numbers, if we start to get, and that's why you might be right about DC. I think DC did not have anyone on Thursday night.
They had the one guy. Remember the one guy?
The one
with
guy.
his flag. Yes.
Yeah.
And there were like a couple scattered fans throughout the stadium, but I mean, you can get a couple scattered fans when we play Colorado.
Right.
The way that New York Red Bulls and New York City specifically, I think those are probably the two best supported teams. I'm curious to see what LAFC brings next month, honestly.
I am too. That's the one game
Yeah.
we're both like, are they going to do what like NYCFC did in Eastern Conference Finals? Because we've seen the clips of them. I mean, let's be honest, they travel well.
They do, absolutely.
Except for CCL. I mean, they brought but even still, like weekday game, they still brought like a full row of supporters. I mean, credit to them.
They brought more supporters than a lot of teams do.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, with the rivalry with the Red Bulls, like there's always going to be a Philly, New York headbutt, like in any sport.
Oh, absolutely.
Like this is separate from MLS. It's separate from Union. Like it's like Philly is always going to hate New York City. Like half of the chanting is, anti-New York.
Yeah, pretty much in like all the major sports. Yeah, we hate the New York teams, and I mean, just it's the proximity,
Correct.
and honestly, like there's a lot of similarities with just like I feel with like the fan bases a little bit, it's like
definitely.
Like the diehard, nature of them. But
so my whole question is like, what was the atmosphere like in Riverend last night? So I was up in the press box, obviously, and when kickoff started, like it was I was in the front row, and that place just started erupting. Like when, remember they do the whole let's talk about not CONCACAF, Leagues Cup. And they do that whole speech, and
you're talking about like when our players they come up and
the captains do the speech, you could already tell, and I'm looking at a couple other people, like this is getting interesting right away, because when Red Bulls is giving their speech, that whole place lit up.
Oh,
and then
everyone was booing
very
loudly. Yes.
Andre gave his speech and he said, "Go Union." That place just exploded. And I'm like, okay, I was wrong about this manufactured take of mine about the rivalry.
Well, Kyle, didn't you hear before the game started, even we were already doing the build a bonfire chant and everything? Before...
I was in press.
Yeah, you were getting your
I was getting food. I was getting food.
Yeah, no, yeah, because we had the chance going before even. That was pretty good.
And the River End has always, I think, brought it.
Oh, absolutely.
Really more louder for a New York game, but really actually more for the Red Bulls. I feel like something about the Red Bulls just brings out the River End's, passion more so than NYCFC does, even though we've had the higher profile matches against New York City FC in the last couple of years.
Yeah,
but there's something about the Rebels, and
that comes back to it's definitely a rivalry.
Yeah, well, and going back to the rivalry thing too, I think if there are fans getting ejected from the stadium, it's definitely a rivalry.
Yeah, that's the criteria.
Every game between us and either New York City or the Red Bulls, there's always someone getting ejected from that side.
Yeah, and we did see people get injected last night.
Okay. Let me fall back. So when Van Zier went back to the locker room after warm-ups, did you was that the racist chant? Were they chanting racist?
Yes, definitely. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Okay.
Oh, he got the racist chant a few times.
Yeah, repeatedly throughout the game.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I only heard it like twice. I think I heard it when he got sent off, and then right at the beginning. So
yeah, I think he was. I think we were lucky. He was lucky he didn't take a penalty kick. That just would have been the overwhelming word.
I mean that I might have ran down from the press box for that one.
Oh, and when he missed that shot on the goal, that he probably should have scored on.
Right.
Oh yes, we all let him hear it.
Yeah,
that was great.
So we're gonna talk about the Red Bulls game for a second. So I'm sorry, but I made a joke to Todd Lewis. We were sitting up there and I said, we were getting ready for kickoff. You know, they do the 5, 4, 3. And I'm like, oh gosh. I said, why just give up a goal in the first 5 minutes? And I just put my head in my hand.
Jinxed us.
I did jinx us. And then, of course, the Union give up a goal in the first 5 minutes. I mean, it was a play where Carranza ball goes off his foot, and Kai's called out of position. Jack has to go back, and Manuel's caught wide open.
Yep,
boom,
saw him there wide open. I'm like,
I mean, we
crap.
saw that going a mile away. Like I saw him coming, and it's like, I mean, what do you give up? Where do you put what's going on right now? Because it seems like we come out sometimes like, oh yeah, we're gonna score a goal right away, and then it just doesn't happen this year. It's like it's getting to the point where it's concerning.
I think that at one point we started chanting like in the section, "Wake the F up."
Yes, I heard that. I heard that loud and clear. I heard that loud and clear, and I'm just sitting there going,
Andre like turned around and like when we were doing it, I'm like, he gave us like this like, and like I couldn't tell whether he was like shut the fuck up fans or if he meant like, yeah, we really do need to wake up. Like it was hard to read his face, but like
I think it's the second part. Like
I think it's real. Like we weren't playing yet when we should have been, and that could be, again, you were talking about us being tired, having too many games, and an extra tournament. Like could be that.
Yeah, there was that. Also, you go ahead.
That early goal, right? It's that Red Bulls high press counterattack style, which we've employed as well too. But I mean, that type, one bad touch from Carranza and immediately just falls right into their game plan. Like that's what they try to do. And like unfortunately, we fell into that trap pretty early.
But credit to Union. I mean, about 35th minute, we just all of a sudden it was after the hey Union wake the fuck up kind of chant. Like all of a sudden they start coming alive, and like we went into half and like we're sitting up there, and I'm just saying, we're gonna put one in here. Like we thought we were gonna put one in before we go to half, and
it felt like it.
Yeah.
I mean, the front three just weren't connecting, but that's a whole nother discussion for another day.
So we started to swing the momentum a little bit before.
Yeah. And what do you think about the back three? Glesnes kind of, like as Jim said, they kind of switched back to diamond. They had like, I think Glesnes was playing like a right back and Harriel was playing in Bedoy's position.
Yeah.
What would you think of Lowe and Elliott? Because there was mixed opinions in the press box. Like some people said Lowe played poorly. Some said Elliott played poorly. I thought Jack was fine on the night. I thought Lowe had a bad game, which he can have that.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I agree with that. I think at least early on, Lowe looked a little he had a couple bad giveaways. I mean, I think there was one time where he passed the ball just to the fifth row of the sideline, and we were like, what? I don't even know what the thought was there. I actually started looking around the field for an injured player. I assumed he played it out on purpose, and didn't see anyone.
I'm getting right.
No, I like that pass was just right to the crowd.
Are you
but I
talking
mean, I
about the
think he
one that
settled
went
down.
off at like right outside, like it was to the, like from our section, it was to the left. It was
Yeah.
the left. Yeah. I
Mhm.
know.
Yeah. I mean, I think he settled down a bit after that. I mean, I kind of like the back three approach. The standard back four that we've been doing for years, obviously has really worked, but there was somewhat of a hybrid yesterday that didn't exactly seem to be clicking. And on one hand, I feel a little weird saying this, but like I feel like the Red Bulls are kind of the team you want to try that against because offensively they're not very good. Like
Thank
the
you.
goal that they got was an easy goal. But if you're going to experiment with lineups and if you're going to experiment with a back line, I mean, you know, Andre Blake is going to be a stalwart and go no matter what.
Right.
That's not a bad team to do it against.
No, it is. It's not. And also, my other point to that was, I thought the midfield was getting hammered early on in
I
that
felt the
game.
absence of Jesus Bueno, to be
Like,
honest.
I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought when Bueno and Ura came on, the game changed.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it was a spark. I mean, we were actually talking about it in our section. Like, I think Flock, I think had kind of a poor game, and he almost looked like he was playing out of position somewhat. Although he did have a pretty nice chip off of a quick set piece that didn't miss by a whole lot. But other than that, I think that the Bueno for Flock substitution, I think, was really what sparked them and got them going.
Yeah, I mean, you kept seeing. There was like several times where I'm like, and this is where Uwa would be going on a run, but he's not there, and we don't have anyone on the left there to go do that. And that was definitely a weaker side for them, you know. So once we started attacking that, we were able to get things going.
So let's talk about Uwa for a second. I'm like, everybody knows I love Uwa. Okay, I followed him since he was in Bromby. That said, is he having a poor year? You want more goals, but I still feel like he's kind of transitioned, and me and Billy were talking about this today, to more of a playmaker than a striker. And if he's so talented, like, yes, you need the goals, but at the same time, like, can we just have him make plays like he was last year, where he was the X factor? He was creating all the plays. Like, I don't know what happened this year. Like, where are you guys all on this? Because I think this is a real discussion to happen.
Yeah.
Like, what has happened to the front three? Like, is it just the league has adjusted?
Probably to some extent, yeah, I think so. I mean, it took them till July to really get kicked off last year. I mean, we were, I think I want to say before that 7-0 win, we only had like 19 goals in 18 games or something like that.
We did.
They were not scoring at all, and then all of a sudden they couldn't stop scoring. But really, I mean, do you look at it as, well, you know, the offensive output that we've seen from the first half of last year and a decent amount of this year, there have been, you know, some shining moments, but it's nothing like the consistency that we saw last year. Is that the real union? And maybe we just had like a 3 to 4 month blip of,
this is the regression in the norm.
Yeah. Are we coming back to regression to the mean, or but I do like what you say about, you know, Ua as a playmaker instead of a pure striker. I mean, he had one play last night, and I don't know if it would have been whistled back for offsides or not, but where he was streaking up the left side, had a great had a cross to Carranza that was just a bit behind him, and I mean, that was almost set up on a silver platter. But like, if you hit that cross, that's a good position for him to be in, and that's a position he's in a lot of games. He's making those runs, he's getting crosses. I would have liked, you know, better accuracy on some of them, but he's going to be making that run more so than I think anyone else will up that left flank. If you look at the left midfielders. Like Liam Flock's not making that run.
Nope, and that was totally missing for sure
No,
before
and
he came in.
even if you get another player out on that side, it's just not going to be the same. Uo's really got the pace and the awareness to be making those plays. And if it comes at the absence of scoring goals, he's still putting them in good positions, which I don't think is a bad thing.
And also, let's be honest, like we've all said in our section, there's been times this year where he's wide open on sides and they're just not getting the ball. Like we've had that discussion against DC a couple times. Like,
Yep.
I mean, I think it's like, how should I say this? It's more of a, like, yes, Ua needs to do more, but also the union need to do more for him to make him effective. But I think he's slowly figuring out, okay, this is what I got to work with. We're going to draw it back and make it work. Where I'm curious is, where does Ty come in
About to
now?
say,
Yes,
Ty,
yeah. She was
yes.
like, she's waiting for the Ty because I've been showing him all the clips of Ty. Like,
Yeah. I mean, you look at, we've got Sullivan starting a bunch of games up at striker, and I wonder to see if he's going to start on Fridays if Gazdag can't go.
Right.
I mean, you look at Ty as is he that Sergio Santos, Corey Burke replacement? That guy off the bench. Does it would become the change of pace off the bench, and you move Ty into that second striker? I mean, I have no knocks against Sullivan. I like him better in the midfield. I feel like we've been using him at striker just because we're sort of short on strikers at the moment. So if you can bring Sullivan back into the midfield, and now you've got that 3 striker rotation that we saw last year with Corey, that might be a valid option.
And plus, you got, let's be honest, we got Chris Donovan, and Donovan's good for 5 minutes just to be holed up and do Chris Donovan things.
He didn't get to play on his birthday yesterday. It was too bad. Although I wouldn't have made sense to put him in there. But you know who was at the game, by the way, yesterday? Our new signing, Makanya. Yeah, he was there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Really?
I saw on Instagram he had put on a story. Yeah, he was up in one of the suites there, but I'm excited to see what he does when he gets in there too.
I mean, for 18 years old, being 6'1", and granted, South Africa, but the dude's a beast. Like, he just takes it. Like, I get it, it's YouTube. Everybody's doing highlight clips. You're not going to show the bad takes, but the dude is just like bulldozing guys. I'm like, wow, okay, this is Richard Odada from last year.
Speaking of Richard Odada, oh my gosh, I had been hoping, like, going into Leagues Cup, that like maybe we'll see Richard Odada. He had that great game against Pachuca last year in the friendly, and then I've not seen him in with the first team since. I mean, I've seen him on U2.
I still say it's a Bueno situation. I think he's gonna learn the system. I think it's the same thing with Torres. I think it's the same thing with Pereira. I think Ernst has built. I think Ernst wants to do what Seattle has done, what Portland did when those guys were running wild on the league. I think they just want to build. Like, let's make this not just a one done like we saw with Atlanta. We have seen this with MLS 1.0, 1.2 teams. They do a one and done, and then they go back to the bottom of the league. Like, what this league needs is more teams to be consistent at the top half of the league, like we see in the top 5 leagues. Like, I'm an AC Milan fan. AC Milan's always going to be in the top 6 of the league. Now, granted, they got money, but that's a whole nother discussion. Like, they also build from their academy. Like, we need to see this more with MLS. Like, I think even with the increased spending, and like I said last night to some people, I hope we don't go, oh, we can get Mbappe, we can get Neymar now that Messi's here. I hope we don't just get excited and just go for it and just, okay, we got Messi, that's cool. Let's make sure we keep building through the academies. and make sure this is sustainable, so that in another 5 years, yeah, we're top 6-5 league in the world.
And every team I think has to commit to that. You see
Yeah.
teams like the Union, like
Correct.
Dallas, committing
Yeah.
to their academies, and
We
you
see
see some
Cincinnati.
teams.
We see
Yeah,
Cincinnati now committing. We
Mhm.
see Seattle now committing. But there's still teams that haven't committed to that, and like we need to see that across the league. I guess my commit.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like looking at the MLS Next Pro standings this year, I mean, the top two teams are Charlotte and Colorado, who
Right.
I haven't thought of as having good academies, but I mean, maybe there's some talent there that those teams can start to develop
Right.
and start to elevate themselves as well.
And I think MLS Next Pro is a fun league. I
Mhm.
mean, and I hope the union can get behind this, especially with the new facility coming on.
Yeah.
I would love double headers. And I've said this to her,
That
like,
would be fun.
like just showing up at like 2 o'clock, watch the game, go to the tailgate, and then come back. Like, I
Mhm.
think there's a missed opportunity there, but that's me being selfish. Like, I get why they have to do it.
Yeah, that would be fun. That's a great thought too, because like, we've actually the only U2 game we've gone to was the friendly against Wrexham.
Which the union should have won.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that was a good time, but like for us, it's like, well, especially if we were at the game on Saturday and then there's like a U2 game on Sunday, and it's like, well, for us to drive all the way back out to Chester, it's
Yeah.
not super close for us. So,
All right.
but one of these days maybe we'll get to one.
So after last night's PK win, we gotta go back against Querétaro.
Yep.
I am very concerned about this game because Querétaro figured it out. Now, granted, Pumas, and let's be honest, MLS, well, not MLS teams, Liga MX teams, they don't care about this tournament as much. It's a money grab for them, I feel. But Querétaro, they weren't going to go in this competition. We've heard the stories. Like, how worried are we about this game?
So, stupid question. I don't follow Mexican League that much, like at all. At all. Are they playing their starters? Are they like, I mean, do we know if
They are.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah, they are. And so what happened, Jane, just to give you an update.
Yeah.
Before we played them, they weren't going to travel because they were owed, what was it? A year's pay. Like, apparently, maybe not. Like, they were owed pay and then they couldn't. It was a weird situation. Like, I gotta read back.
There was like
on
some situation where like they hadn't gotten paid or something.
or like 2 months, and like it was just a weird situation. They weren't even going to travel, and then they showed up and they played us, and then they built into the tournament. So,
And that wasn't their like starting goalie
no,
against us.
no, because he got benched when he
Yeah.
gave 4 goals against, what was it, San Luis in the opening match. Like, the coach benched him, and now he came back. So it's a weird situation with that club. I mean, it's been weird since a weird situation since the Atlas match last year with this club, and they've come back from it, which credit to them. But at the same time,
like they seem to be that team right now that's got that chip on their shoulder.
yes.
I mean, obviously they laid an egg against us in their first game, but yeah, since
They
then,
didn't have their star goalie.
right? They've had something to prove, I think, because in being one of only 2 Mexican teams left, like they're gonna come out swinging.
Now I'm worried. Thank you.
You're not worried?
No, it said now I'm worried. Thank you.
Oh, well, now you're worried. Well,
Now yeah, after I the score from the last game,
but
made me less.
I don't know, but looking at the route that they've taken to get here, right? I mean, so they played Tijuana, who wasn't all that great. I mean, we handled them pretty easily too. Then they played Pumas, who is not showing particularly well in Liga MX either. And then they had a very injured New England team that's been going through a lot of turmoil themselves. Like, they've been missing a lot of their good players. Bruce Arena's got
Yeah.
So
Well, we won't get into that whole
we're not going to go
thing.
into that. But I think that their path has been, they have not played particularly difficult teams.
Okay.
No,
The one difficult game they had, they lost by quite a bit.
no, and to your point, like, let's be honest, like New England, that probably after they gave up the first goal, New England woke up and just started coming after them. And credit to their goalkeeper, like he was saving some good shots. And at the end of the day, they didn't have anybody there to take PKs. I mean,
Do I think it's going to be like the blowout it was?
No.
Maybe not, but
No.
that would be nice. It'd be nice to not go to PKs for a change. Like
sure.
the last 2 games coming down to PKs, I mean, not good for the blood pressure, I mean, I think when I got home, I didn't get to bed till almost 3 last night because I was just so like just revved up from the whole night, I think.
But somebody said something interesting. I forget who it was. I forget who asked the question, but somebody asked in the media mix, was the last 2 PK wins from last year kind of like, and then the whole Minnesota, what was it, like 10 PKs?
It went pretty far.
Yeah.
Was it like a cleansing of like, let's just get it out of our system? And I forget who it was like, yeah, no, we're confident now about when we go against PKs. And credit, Kranza needed a PK.
Kranza did not have a good game yesterday, so him at least scoring on that PK was good.
And we were all up in the press box going, if Uwa takes a PK, he needs to take a PK. We gotta get him confident. Now, granted, the keeper makes a save, hits it off, and goes in the net, but it's still a goal. And like at least, and he walked back like, oh, I should have hit better. But you could tell he was kind of like, okay, I did my job. Let's move on. And so you gotta feel confident. Like I feel confident about this game, but it's a tournament, so anything can happen.
Yeah, last night's PKs, at least when Andre made that save to start it out, like I definitely felt way better than I did against DC because all right, it's like, oh, good, if we can just keep hitting them. And then when
so from my vantage point, when that PK was saved, the whole place exploded.
Like, oh yeah, that got us all going.
I have never heard it. And also credit, like we were seeing people from the other side. I was seeing other people, like we saw that versus DC.
Yeah,
but
everyone
like
from our end ran down. Yeah,
I saw the entire stadium. Like it was like a wave of people coming down. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh yeah, we all cried in the river. I mean, how about it was what an atmosphere there during the PKs.
I saw people from the river end going down.
We were yelling everyone to bring it
like,
in.
Come on down, come on down. We got to fill this.
This is just like a repeat of theme. Like, all right, the Union fans all over the stadium are into it now in a way that they have never been in the last, early on in the beginning of the Union. Like, it's wonderful. I'm so happy that it's not just the River End anymore. Like, I mean, like, I love the River End. We're awesome, but like, we need the full stadium. Like, that's how you get the field advantage, and we're getting that finally. So thank you everyone else for standing up. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, I did notice that like way more people, like at one point in the game, it was like everyone was standing like before even that. It's like, we want to see more of that. And when we have those chants going like around the whole stadium, getting everyone involved, that's great. We need more of that. Absolutely.
We'll take what we can get, but like, we need more of it. It's very, very cool that's happening.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think we're sitting at 101 or what was our section?
101.
It was just nobody chanted, nobody cheered. Like it's very different now.
Yeah.
I remember even 2 years ago, we were in the game against Montreal. Remember that game against Montreal where the Union drew 1-1 when we first got our season tickets?
Mm-hmm.
And we got a section, I think it was 142 or like 143. Anyway, we were sitting over there. And we were still chanting and people were yelling us to sit down because we were so excited. And I'm just like,
oh, you're talking about I don't know what section you're thinking, but anyway, we were we were just over a couple of from where like the KSU.
But
like it felt weird not standing. That was the last time we didn't sit in the river end, because that's because we just like hadn't we like upgrade our tickets or something? Yeah,
we upgrade our tickets 'cause we want to try to see us
just
different.
to change it up, but
yeah,
never again.
never again. Even my
No.
dad, like, who
I
can't
don't like
stand,
sitting now.
even my dad, who can't stand for 90 minutes anymore, he's like, he stood for 90 minutes against Toronto FC. He's like, this is the greatest experience I ever had. And like that's why I think like there's something special in Philly that people are missing. And I get teared up when I say this, but it's the greatest family in the world, and like more people need to get involved, because we've met so many great people like yourselves.
Well, think about it. Like, he was up in the press box, and I was fine just like going down to the seats,
Like,
being
she's
by myself.
like,
because I know like all you guys now, it's great, but like I'm not always the most extroverted person, and now it's like I'll go and be down there. It's like, oh, it's all good, I got my Union family here. So,
and the other crazy thing is we got people listening to the podcast now. They're saying, hey, we're not gonna be there. Hey, can we get your tickets, because we want to experience the river end? And I'm like, we're like, sure, and we'll sell them to you discount. Like, if we can get like what we see in like Europe, like all the European snobs love to say, like, if we get that in the river end, like even though it's small, that would be a really, and knowing how Philly brings it, that'd be a crazy thing. So
it can be very, very powerful.
All right. So
we'll see what happens Friday. We still are not, we got to discuss if we are going or not, but we definitely won't be there if they make it to the next round, but they make the final
or the third place game.
Let's
hope they make the final. But either way, if they win Friday, whether we're there or not, we'll be there for the third or hopefully first, second place game.
Yeah, hopefully it wouldn't come down to us. Please
Could
not
imagine,
please not LAFC though.
Could you imagine Monterey versus the Union in Subaru Park? How crazy those Monterey fans are going to be.
Crazy. I know that would be absolutely exceptional if it was us versus them. That would, I think that would sort of embody what MLS and what Liga MX wanted out of this cup.
That could be really great, honestly. I mean,
honestly, those fans game, like even those fans are like very, I've seen a lot of posts, like they're not the worst, like they're not Club America, they're kind they're Liga MX, but they're kind of decent.
I would love to see that game.
I would too.
I'm a little upset at how poorly Liga MX teams in general have shown in this tournament, because now there's just a lot of MLS versus MLS games. I was hoping for a little more of the cross confederational games, but if we can get Monterey, that would be amazing.
Well, this has been a lot of fun. Great discussion, and it's nice to have you guys on, since we get to chat with you a lot, but everyone gets to share in our fun conversations here. And
this is what this podcast
is what it's all about.
It's about couples talking to couples about the love of the Union. So
getting that fan experience,
So this is all for the episode of the One Team We Agree On.
Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment. We love hearing from you.
And until next time, I'm Kyle.
I'm Jillian.
And we'll see you next time.